Hello guys, in this video, I will be showing my gameplay and my graphics settings so that you can win more matches and have smoother gameplay when playing head-to-head. I will also be explaining what each setting does so you can understand what best suits your own gameplay. With that said, let's get into the video. First, we have the virtual stick size. If you have this setting off, your joystick will be small, and if you have it on, the joystick will be big. For phone users, I would recommend having the bigger joystick for better control when doing joystick dribbling and aiming passes. But I have this setting off because I use an iPad and the joystick is already big. Next up is floating virtual stick. This is one of the settings I recommend turning on. With it on, the joystick follows your thumb wherever you place it on the screen, giving you more freedom to move and dribble. With it off, the joystick stays anchored in one spot so movement feels limited. We're going to pair the next two settings together because they work hand in hand. If you've ever had misclicks or felt like the game isn't doing what you want it to do, pay close attention. If you play on a phone, I recommend turning button setting size on. This makes the buttons bigger, which can help reduce misclicks. For large button spacing, play one game with it on, then play another with it off. Whichever setting results in fewer misclicks and feels more comfortable is the one you should stick with. The game controls setting should be off because if it's on, it flips your controls, making the joystick on the right side and the buttons on the left side. But if you want to lose your stars in head-to-head, I would recommend turning this setting on. Next is gestures only. I recommend turning this setting off because when it's turned on, the only button you'll see is the sprint button. This isn't optimal for playing head-to-head because you don't have access to the pass or shoot button. Next is change attack direction at halftime. I recommend turning this off. When it's off, your attack direction doesn't change at halftime, which makes your gameplay more consistent since you're always attacking from the same side. Next is visual feedback. I recommend turning this on because it gives you helpful pop-ups when you make certain mistakes during a match, but they are not always helpful. Next is the radar setting. I recommend turning this on. The radar lets you see the entire pitch and shows you where your players and your opponent's players are, and it does not take up much of your screen. Next is advanced passing. I recommend turning this on because it gives you access to things like driven passes, lob-through passes, and trigger runs, which can give you more options when attacking. Next is tap-double-tap gesture passes. I recommend turning this off because the AI already does a pretty good job of choosing the correct type of pass when you simply tap on your screen to do a pass. Next is fast power-up rate. If you have good ping and a stable internet connection, I recommend turning this on because it allows you to perform actions faster, like passing and shooting. However, if your internet connection is bad, this setting can actually hurt you. You could end up missing goal-scoring chances or making misplaced passes. The next two settings go together, so I'm going to combine them. First is autoplay. I recommend having this on. If you're AFK during a match or your internet connection is having problems, the AI can play for you, which can be useful in certain situations. This brings me to auto pass and shoot. I also recommend turning this on. If it's turned off, the AI will not pass or shoot. Next is crossing assistance. This setting doesn't really make a huge difference, but I would still keep it on. Now we have one of the most important settings, player auto switch and player auto switch mode. For player auto switch, I recommend turning this on. Full manual defending requires a crazy amount of skill that even I don't have, but for player auto switch mode, I recommend turning it off. I know a lot of people have this setting turned on, but in my opinion, if you have this setting on, it can actually make your defending worse because you're letting the AI decide which player you switch to instead of controlling it yourself. This can make your defending feel inconsistent. Instead, I highly recommend using semi-auto defending. With semi-auto, the AI only steps in during situations like lofted passes, crosses, and loose balls, which makes things like interceptions easier to perform. Next are opponent playstyle icons and my playstyle icons. I recommend turning both of these on. They show you the playstyles your opponent is using and the playstyles you are using, which can be helpful in certain situations. And finally, we have probably the most controversial setting in FC Mobile, contextual strafe dribbling. Personally, I have this setting off. There isn't a massive difference between having it on or off, but personally, I think dribbling feels more natural with it turned off. Those are all the gameplay settings I recommend. Now let's get into my graphics settings and the device I use to make these videos. These are the graphics settings I'm currently using, And the device I use to make my videos and shorts is this 2024 iPad Pro, which costs around 800 US dollars. In FC mobile terms, that's basically like me buying 4 signature cards. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If this video helped you out, if you any extra question, make sure to comment them down below. Tua can answer them, and don't forget to like and subscribe because this video took me a long time to make. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.